Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, November 12th. The Arctic blast has arrived in the I-95 corridor. Rain has pretty much ended across some portions of the I-95 corridor region, but it's not necessarily the end of the precipitation for the day. Winds are shifting now to the northwest in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. The temperatures have already peaked for the day. Way up in the 50s after midnight into the wee hours of the morning, already dropping now into the 40s, and they'll drop into the 30s later on today, and all the way down to near freezing by late in the afternoon in the immediate I-95 corridor region. Record low temperatures are certainly on the table for much of the I-95 corridor region by tomorrow morning. Philadelphia, for example, has a record for the date of November 13th, which is Wednesday, of 24 degrees, certainly in jeopardy. Same thing goes in New York City, D.C. There could be some record low temperatures by tomorrow morning. And tomorrow afternoon could see the lowest high temperatures ever recorded for the date of November 13th. We'll struggle in Philadelphia, for example, to pass the freezing mark, which is way, way below normal for this time of the year. And again, it could be the lowest high temperature ever recorded for the date of November 13th. Well, this morning, look at this widespread area of record or near record lows throughout the middle part of the country, extending into the Great Lakes region. Few of these areas have already reached their monthly low temperature record. Mount Vernon, Illinois, for example, right in this part of Illinois, southern Illinois, 10 degrees, lowest temperature ever recorded there in the month of November. A couple of places out across Oklahoma as well. Clinton, Oklahoma, Altus Air Force Base in Oklahoma already reached their lowest temperature ever for the month of November, near 12 degrees in both of those sites, and expect to see many, many records or near record lows in this part of the nation by tomorrow morning. Well, kind of an interesting weather situation here as the Arctic air has arrived in the I-95 corridor region. Indeed, rain is winding down across much of the I-95 corridor region right now, but it's not necessarily the end of the story, especially for areas just to the south and east of D.C., the Delmarva Peninsula. Notice this little trough here in the showing up in the isobar pattern. Indeed, we talked about this yesterday. Very vigorous upper-level jet streak will actually cause perhaps a redevelopment of the precipitation in the D.C. metro region and to points south and east of there. You can see kind of bulging back already in this part of the Mid-Atlantic region. So there may be a lull in the action, D.C., especially south and east of D.C., but precipitation may redevelop by midday in the form of rain, but then change over to snow is a possibility that this afternoon from D.C. south and east across the Delmarva Peninsula, even coastal regions. The rain may end there for a while this morning, but again, with the upper level jet streak hanging some precipitation behind the front or enhancing the precipitation behind the front, don't be surprised for some snow to break out even along the coastal region later on today. Well, let's take a broader view of the radar. This is from WSI's Intellicast.com, and again, notice this bulge in the action here, some snow over the Tennessee Valley region, and this is the area to watch over the next few hours as that upper level jet streak enhances precipitation behind the front. Northwest winds have already developed across the immediate I-95 corridor region. Temperatures have peaked for the day and they'll drop through the day. This bulge in the back of the precipitation pattern could actually cause some snow later on today across D.C. areas to the south and east of there, Delmarva Peninsula and coastal New Jersey. As that cold air moves in, temperatures will drop into the 30s. Also, want to point out here, watch out for black ice pretty much anywhere along the I-95 corridor region to the coastal region. Later in the day, temperatures will actually near the freezing mark in some spots, and any rainwater left on the road surfaces could freeze up. So watch out for black ice later in the day as we get closer and closer to the freezing mark. Well, one last radar loop I'd like to show here is of the D.C. metro region. Again, even though precipitation may have stopped right now in the Washington, D.C. area, look at this bulging action going back down to southwestern Virginia, Charlottesville area. Again, that is indicative of the upper level jet streak now playing a role here, and there can be a redevelopment of precipitation, especially south and east of I-95 from D.C. to the south and east, and that could cause could result in some snow later on today as temperatures continue to drop into the 30s and then approach the freezing mark by the end of the afternoon. Well, let's quickly walk through the upper level forecast maps from the NAM model, the higher resolution NAM model from 6Z. Again, we're watching this jet streak right here. This is 250 millibar level here in the wind speeds, and here is that jet streak of interest as we begin the day. And let's move forward in time and watch the intensification of that jet streak. And again, areas to the right of an approaching jet streak have some enhanced upward motion, and that is why this precipitation could actually kind of redevelop over some parts of the I-95 corridor region and all the way to the coast. This in fact raises the chances for rain-changing snow over the Delmarva Peninsula and coastal New Jersey. The fact that this upper level jet streak is intensifying, moving just to the west, all of this area will be in increasing upward motion over the next few hours, and of course the colder air is pouring in. Look at that by later in the morning, early afternoon, very vigorous upper level jet streak playing a role that rides all the way up to New England by later in the day. So just because the precipitation may have ended in portions of the I-95 corridor region doesn't mean it won't redevelop later on this morning into the midday and early afternoon hours. Well, now let's take a look at the surface forecast maps from last night's 6Z NAM model run. Here's the frontal system. Has come through the immediate I-95 corridor region. Winds are shifting already to the northwest and temperatures are dropping. They peaked in many areas in the wee hours of the morning, 3, 4 a.m. Will drop through the 40s into the 30s over the next few hours. Now let's move forward here. Notice at this particular time, by the middle of the morning, the precipitation is pretty much over with, according to the NAM model, in the I-95 corridor region. But watch what happens. Kind of a development back to the west, all the way back to the D.C. metro region, redevelops across the Delmarva Peninsula, and by that time it could be cold enough for some snow, even into the southern part of New Jersey. And again, temperatures will drop through the 30s this afternoon, and by this evening they'll approach the freezing mark. Watch out for some black ice once again. Any areas on the roadway that remain wet later on this afternoon could see some black ice developing as temperatures should drop to near the freezing mark by the end of the afternoon. And then overnight tonight, very, very cold for this time of the year. The high pressure edges in, but still windy and very cold, perhaps record-breaking cold in the overnight hours. Again, the record for tomorrow in Philly is 24 degrees, certainly within reach. I think the suburbs in Philadelphia, for example, will drop down to the upper teens. Many suburbs along the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor will drop down into the upper teens. Could be records broken in D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City, and certainly throughout the northeastern part of the nation. Expect some record low temperatures by tomorrow, and then tomorrow afternoon many areas will see the lowest high temperatures ever for the date of November 13th. So the Arctic blast has arrived in the I-95 corridor region. The next 48 hours will be in the deep freeze, the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.